Alright guys, lots to unpack and happy Easter to everyone. Pretty bullish setup. And if bulls fail here, it's gonna be a long way down. Okay? Now, this is IVV. Prices are a little bit different, but it's Vanguard SPY. Starts count from all-time high. Okay? It puts in a bottom at the 0.5. The 0.5, the start and the end is the strongest on this model. But as you see here, whatever starts now will likely run into the end of the month for another switch here. And this level here, around 560, a particular interest on SPY, and then backtest at that 200 on the daily. MACD seems a-okay. I would take these readings on all these indicators with a little bit of a grain of salt. We seem to have put in a bottom and consolidating here. Worst case scenario, we consolidate for a long time, as shown on this fractal, which is concerning to me because with these volatility spikes we've had, I'm sure a lot of you remember April 23. I think it was a good 42 days of chop, something like that. That's what it seemed like. Yeah, here. This stretch here was brutal. We finally called the breakout, came to back test, and then we started a rally. But this is not fun. It was 2 months. I think it's 42 trading days we were here. Basically from April all the way to June, and I wouldn't put it past it doing that. Looking at this, I mean, it's kind of what it says. So day trading, right? But there's complex issues here, and we all know that, and I'll try to point that out because obviously I want everybody to win here big, but you get a bunch of fake news all the time. And that is the problem here. You even have our, the guy who put in the bottom Hassett saying a flurry of action on trade next week. You're seeing a record amount of retail money coming in to buy the dip. Meanwhile, bank CEOs are selling. Okay? Here's another interesting news story. Palantir is helping Doge with a massive IRS data project. Spicy. But this is interesting here. I'm gonna get a little shit showy before we hit the charts. Elon Musk, after this, unfollowed Scott Bessent on Twitter. Whoa! Spicy. Pretty spicy. Because it's been leaked that Bessent pulled Trump aside for, the pause when Navarro wasn't in that day in the room. So, just looking at the chart here, we got our upper targets. There's no way, unless you get a China deal, that we break the collar here. Okay, and even though the press is bullish on deals, I'm just gonna point something out. We have no deals. We have a 90-day window, right? Brings us to here, to June, right? End of June, starting right there. So in these days, we are, as of right now, the messaging is individual trade deals, right? But with the first one being Japan, that is supposed to be done by the end of May, you're gonna run out of presidential term unless you give everybody kind of a blanket deal here. But again, the big one is China. This is all about China, so the rest can then fall in line. In the meantime, the market indecision is why we're going sideways. Obviously, all hell breaks loose if we take out these lows. And then you got the whole Powell thing. And my thoughts on the Powell thing is this. Trump needs to come out and say who he wants to nominate as head of Fed to create a forward-looking Fed, meaning take away market sentiment power from Powell. But he shouldn't fire him, because if he does, you go and see that liquidity that is right down here. Okay? Probably at this blue line. And that would not be pretty. Besides that, what this market is also about is, unlike 2020, I'm just gonna show you this on the weekly. Unlike 2020, when the market pulled back, the 10-year yield pulled back. Okay? Unlike 2018, where the market pulled back, the 10-year yield pulled back. With this market correction, you don't have any pullback because you got China selling non-stop. You don't know how much debt they hold. Nobody knows, and it's not just China, it's also Japan. And the Fed, while in a little bit of a soap opera with the president, needs to absorb this. So very, 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 at least 9D chess going on here. So again, right now the messaging from the White House is that everything's good. China has talked with us. At the same time, China has halted all liquefied natural gas purchases. Okay, so again, what does that mean? Well, you might want to check out LNG on Monday and how it will be reacting to this news. Okay, the funny thing about this chart, if you watch it, looks like this chart. So you know that there's fuckery going on. What does it mean that Elon Musk has unfollowed Scott Bessent? I mean, that is some spicy shit. So, bullish or bearish? Well, here's my problem. I don't care about wave counts. I don't care about this and that. If the NAMO showing you that they have tried to stop the bleeding on Mag 7 super hard, therefore, if you attempt a regular rally from here, it won't work. It just won't work. You're gonna need to consolidate for this to come down, or you need a sharp sell. Look, the RSI had come down here before the news day, right? You got RSI coming up. Yeah, that's great, but you can't push this thing too much higher. So this does in fact look like we'll be scalping. That's not to say you shouldn't have something with time, because you do not know when the news candle's gonna come. You just don't know it. So let's go in on the 5 minute here and see what happened. Okay, well, we got mixed signals. Gap up, fade. We caught this rally. We hit my 531. I was a little hopeful here at open that we could even see 537. That was the secondary target, but we fizzled out here and came down. Now with all this good news, okay, ask yourself, if it was all true, shouldn't Bitcoin have, I mean, this is remember, this is the Trump candle right here. If all this good, awesome shit with China was true, shouldn't Bitcoin reflect it? Because that's where we closed on Friday. No, on Thursday, I mean. Today's Friday. Just putting that out there. Again, wanting us to win the trade war, but as traders, we should protect our ports from getting smoked, which involves having a bias. Trade the action, not your bias, right? So that's a little concerning to me. For this short-term bullish pattern to work, because this is negative, selling to the close, but again, could reverse by Monday on any good news. And the fact that the bullish part of this pattern is that we didn't take out lows. So you need, if you can gap and trade over this 2-time rejection spot here that you should mark on your screens by doing that, then we should have days of uptrend. If we lose the low, however, it is bearish. So what are our short-term targets on each side? Well, if you lose the low here, you're definitely minimum going to 515. And I don't see a reason why you don't go feel this whole Trump candle and go and feel that 501 ghost at all. I mean, this is, once this starts coming down, it doesn't have to be, if it's fast, it's a buyable knife. If it's slow, it means it's controlled selling and nobody's buying. And you should not be buying the dip. You should buy puts a few days out and let it just sink, okay? Same thing, if we go, you have 537, 542, and then 547 upside targets. 537, 542, 547. We get over this, boom, we're on. We're front running something, or we've gotten news. Meta has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red weeks in a row. Okay, I count this as red even though it's a green candle. Yes, we put in a bottom, but we closed lower than the previous week and we closed this week lower than that week. It has never done that before. Let's go over to QQQ. How are you looking, Q? Not too good, I presume. All right. Same pattern, a little bit better, but still closed under last week's close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 closes done in a row. Now it gets interesting. 1, 2, 3. If next month is red, you're doing this. That's what you're doing. Meaning you're doing this. You're gonna come and test 370 just like you did in 22. You're definitely going there, and that for the whole overall stock market structure needs to hold, because if it doesn't, you're going back to trade 2020 levels, and there's no fucker that wants that. Like, no thank you. Okay, that is why this spring and these deals are so important. Okay, I'm sure everybody understands that. You could even argue that we retook the trend line and this is a secondary backtest, and I hope so that we go. Okay, I'm all team bull here, but just urging caution. Meta in the middle of this freaking lawsuit, right into earnings. Look at the earnings reaction there, boom. Clearly a retest of this area. Very important that these earnings are good. Now the problem with these earnings, they're also going to bring uncertainty with the trade war. Now Netflix beat earnings, but in true shit show fuckery fashion, did not, for the first time ever, give subscriber numbers. Now we all know they've raised prices. Okay, they made more money, but had their subscriptions gone down. Rumor is they're working on a UFC deal. Boom. This was unplayable because obviously this week's contracts expired before earnings, and nobody's gonna pay $3,000 for in the money contracts with and it's still a pretty muted move. Now Jensen in China, is he brokering a deal, or is he saying, hey, you know, I know our boy is doing this, he's gonna be out of here soon, how about, you know, we build one of those factories over there in 5 years? Okay, like no one knows, can't trust what they say on Twitter or TikTok. They don't fucking know. No one knows what Jensen and the Chinese are cooking up. I have, however, warned in the past, where does the loyalty lay? Not pointing any fingers here, just saying, like, it's a smart dude. He knows AI is going to be around in 20 years. 3 years is a drop in the ocean here, okay? Just pointing it out. Again, want him to go to the heavens over here with his chips. But again, there's the death cross. We all know that they can be really bad. Okay. That would have been fun to have puts on, but yeah. DJT rising up here. Tesla. All right, here's something interesting. So I'm sure you all saw the report that they are halting the launch of their cheap model because they can't get the cheap parts they need from China. Okay, hence unfollowing on Twitter. In the meantime, also worthy to note that Ford halts shipments of vehicles to China. So auto industry about to be hit hard. Okay, earnings next week. Am I long-term bullish on this? Yeah, definitely. Optimus is gonna be huge. Problem is, do you want to buy it now, or can this go lower? Well, of course it can go lower. It can go all the way to 170 to this volume shelf here. Okay, it can. Do you think it's a surprise that you got a timing model on the day of earnings? No. The 0.75, since the 0.5 and the 0.61 were continuous downtrend from the highs, this would be a perfect spot to rev it up. And of course, if we get a trade something, even a handshake, even a meme that's positive from the Chinese US embassy, then I am gonna buy long calls on this fucker right here. Apple, basically the stock market, so don't need to go over Apple. Okay, so that's like the broader picture. Now, I don't mean to sound too bearish. Here's some bullish shit. This is an interesting model. We could be putting in a low here and start revving up with a big sell in a year. It shows, okay? Very volatile. Speaking of volatility, everybody's new favorite word, you still have an absolute fuckery situation here on the VIX with a upper gap and a lower gap, and we're sitting right in between. with this curling over, but is it a secondary retest or not? Stowe says yes, everything else says no. That we are actually rolling over. Look at that MACD right there, nice cross. So Besant might be right. It is topped out, but that doesn't mean that we rally, which is my worst fear here, is that you are gonna be stuck in a stagflation market. Now, I just showed you some positive stuff. Here's some negative stuff. Never pulled out the 1921 chart, but yeah, now there you go. That's worst case scenario. Let's not go there. Let's be on the winning team here instead. Another thing to point out, okay, of how critical this point in time is the relative strength of the dollar. Okay. Is this a retest? Check the date. Is this a retest or are we breaking down? Because if we're breaking down and we're stuck in a trade war against currency manipulators, again, just pointing out different scenarios, and we start losing purchasing power on top of tariffs, the outcome will be absolutely horrible and you're gonna be asking for a new system. So hopefully this is just a retest like the Stowe suggests here. The problem is the Stowe in 2020 was also near lows right here in 96 and we went to 88. Something to keep in mind. In 17, the Stowe had also reached down here and stayed down there for 4 or 5 months. Okay? Now, everybody's favorite that I don't use myself because it doesn't really matter. The RSI here on the daily is at 42. How high can it go? Well, it can go to 70. So you'd kind of want to put in a lower high here. So again, very challenging market. Play the move. And what's the problem with that? The problem is this. Remember, this was like 4 different trades for me on the 5 minute. Remember this shit on Thursday? And then it finally, and then, oh! I mean, now we're in Bangkok here. We just don't know. What's your entry gonna be? So I would recommend you do this, and I'm going to do this too, since you listened this long. We are going to be kind of religious this week of playing the break of a pre-market high and pre-market low, yesterday's high and yesterday's low this week. And the Bollinger Bands, which if you don't have Bollinger Bands on yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. It'll fucking tell you when you got FOMO. Okay? So, what's the point of this whole video? The point is, if it's looking bearish and there's no sign of us going up and breaking highs like you got red flow all day, chances are it won't. Unless on news. Everything is basing. Everything is basing. And it's a fear trade. You got Nvidia getting dumped, money going into silver, right? Some healthcare names and crypto. But unless Bitcoin starts ripping, we ain't going higher. Right now, Bitcoin is just trading stagflation here on the 1 hour. And how can you trade a possible news move? Well, you buy yourself some time and you kick back. Unless you're a trader who is good at scalping, you're gonna have a hard time in this market, no doubt about it. These are just some trades from last week. Here, I log my trades. It's a good way. This was Thursday. Okay, great. Looks fantastic. None of them have any follow through, right? None of them have any follow through. You literally have to catch the bottom of the candle and sell the top. So if you're not used to that, it's smarter to see what the range is and buy some time. Okay, everything is contracting here. What does that mean in the end? You're gonna have a big Mike type of move. When does it come? I don't know. You can even go up here and come back down and fail. But this is a timing window. It would have been better had it come up and then bleed here. Now we've bled here. Do we get continuation or does this continue upwards? We will know next week. It's gonna be spicy. You don't wanna miss it. I promise you that. Here's some more bullish stuff. Every time we've had one of these, the last 5 times, we have continued higher. Now granted, in 87 it took some time. Okay, I don't know what happened here. This we've all been a part of, right? Very interesting. And where is Mr. Man? If we are to have something miraculous happen here, seasonality is definitely on the bull's side. But if you've traded for a few years, you know that April's been absolute dog shit for whatever particular reason the last few years, okay? So don't get too crazy on it. But they are buying the dip. This was filled overnight. It has not been filled during real trading hours, and that will be my bull target this week. I don't think we make it into the 540s, but the longer we go, if we don't go high up to this early in the week, I would suspect that we go fill it during real trading hours, because ES and US 500 have already played that out. Now for next week, we have early low for Monday, early low for Tuesday, early high for Wednesday, early low for Thursday, early low for Friday, which would signify a buy the dip type of scenario. However, if it is bearish, watch out below. Okay? Let's see where we land. God bless, guys. Oh, let me check this before I go. That is a mildly bullish trend. If the trend closes under 1, it is bullish. If it closes above 1, it is bearish. So small hope. I'm down with that. I want people's accounts to go up that hold stock. You know me. I think put boys are belong in Bangkok. Anyways, guys, God bless, and I will see you on Monday. Happy Easter.